Josh Allen, I know part of it is need, but he has not been pushing the ball down the field. Everything is much shorter. The A dot is way down. We're starting to see Vic Fangio's impact too. When everything's about the offense, we're kind of forgetting that the defense has actually played much, much better than what we saw in week number 1. Don't forget what happened in that first week against the Chargers. They did give up a ton, an explosive offense. So what are you going to do on the road against an explosive offense in the Bills? Before this past weekend, when everybody's been saying 70 all week for good reason, the number was 3.5, and it cut through down to 2.5. You still have 2.5s out there. Some places have gone to 3, and it's pretty clear what a lot of the sharper bettors are doing. They see value. Buffalo at home, Buffalo inside of a field goal. That's what they're going to take, and I'm with them. I like this spot for Buffalo minus 2.5.
My model says this is a perfect number, so no play on the side for me. And despite the public loving to bet on the over 53.5 here, I think there's a good argument to be made for the under. And Joe, you alluded to one of the key things here. The Bills are in 12 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends, close to 50% of the time. This is death by 1,000 cuts with Stephon Diggs over the top, if and when necessary. The ground game with James Cook and Josh Allen, that's something that they're relying upon a good bit. So ball control matters a great deal. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, he may have a fantastic outing in a contest like this. But to me, this Bills offense is not exactly what we've seen over the last couple of years, where it's been more about the deep ball than anything else. Like when Gabe Davis went off, it was all about the deep ball. But now it is death by 1,000 cuts. They're just fine playing that way. And this Dolphins defense may have to adjust a little bit so that they can game plan for such things. The problem, though, is are you fine, getting killed over the top with deep passes? That's going to be a big question there. But when it comes to the Dolphins, they are in 21 personnel 61% of the time. It is all about getting rid of the football quickly and having these speedsters get into open space. Not just Tyreek Hill, but the running backs as well. That is also a super important thing. Fun tweet from Ed Werder, who still covers the Cowboys on a regular basis. Dallas is the only team in the NFL whose wide receivers have yet to score. All of the touchdowns have been going elsewhere. In fact, the defensive guys have more touchdowns than the wide receivers. That's just how wonky things are in North Texas right now. But not a single wide receiver. And there are some good ones there. CeeDee Lamb leading the way, but there are other good ones. None of them have a touchdown yet.
That is amazing. I did not know that. How is that possible with the amount of points that they put up?
I don't
know. That's just wild. I don't know what else to say. That's crazy stuff. All right. Let's just knock the big narrative out of the way. Okay. Yeah. We'll get to why this number is inside of a touchdown now, but it's going to be there. Zeke. Are they revving him up? 16 carries for 80 yards last week, heading into the big Dallas game. I had no idea what the prop would be, and I was a little surprised that it was so short because it's going to be bet over basically whatever the number you post. 27.5 rushing yards. Overs. Right. Yeah. 27.5 on the rushing yards.
That's it?
27.5 for Zeke.
Is Ramondre Stevenson losing favor in that locker room? I feel like he is.
I feels that way. I mean, the performance tells it all. Zeke plus 245 to score an anytime touchdown. I have to, right?
You have to. Yeah, absolutely you do. Plus, I mean, at the start of the season, I liked his over season total touchdowns. So, I mean, at some point he has to start to accrue them, and we're in week 4. Like, not that he's running out of time, but if he's going to get to, say, 5 touchdowns for the season, that's got to start, like, right around now. So why not against his former team? And, hey, hashtag narrative. Let's embrace it wholeheartedly. That one makes a whole lot of sense. I'm fine with that one. I do think that the Patriots can cover this number, though I think the Cowboys win this outright. One prop that stands out to me, Dak Prescott over 13.5 rushing yards at minus 110. This does feel like a situation where the Patriots defense might play back a little bit and sort of force a more monotonous approach by the Cowboys. And if that's the case, Prescott's mobility is still a tool in the tool chest, and 13.5 is something that he can get without doing a whole lot of work. The more time you give yourself to adjust to the new schedule, the better off you're going to be. And the Falcons aren't the only team to do this. There are other teams who do like to wait until later in the week. But this idea of quote unquote distractions, I don't largely buy into those. I think if you get distracted that easily by a new place, then maybe something's wrong with your football team, more so than just, deciding when you can travel to such places. So in that regard, I think the Falcons probably made a bit of a snafu here. The Jaguars are -3 in this game, despite the blowout loss that they had. Third most bet on team at BetMGM. And to me, I don't know if I necessarily have a strong conviction to back the Jaguars here, but I think it's these little things that I point to that say Jacksonville should be all right in this matchup.
Yeah, I know. It took me nearly the entire week to get there, and I think you're right. Favorites have done very well in these international games, if that means anything to you. 29-9-1 straight up, 25-14 against the spread. They could not have possibly played any worse than what they did against the Texans, right? And they know this trip. Maybe there's some comfort with it. I'm not sure, but one thing that you do have to take a look at as what is the strength of the Falcons? Well, we know the weakness. The big weakness is Ritter. Oh God, was he awful last week? And he's been terrible in a number of games. We've been talking about it every single. We have yet to be impressed by Ritter. Okay. Right. And all they can do is run the ball. They did not run the ball well last week. It was 2.2 yards per carry. And Jacksonville's actually been pretty good against the run early on this season. Now, hey, has the competition been there? Sample size is always a thing this early in the year. But Ritter held on to the football last week. He took 7 sacks against Detroit. The ADOT, very small. Again, how's Atlanta going to be able to play from behind? That's always been a question with us when it comes to them, just because of the style of their offense. Glad you said that you don't think the Bears can win this game, because I am very close, sir, to taking Broncos in Survivor. I'm kind of like, I don't care. After what the Jaguars hurt me so much, I'm like, why not live on the edge? Why not take these Denver Broncos as a 3.5-point road favorite? Just need you to win against the worst team, the team that is on now a 13-game losing streak. And you mentioned the Broncos secondary. I present to you the Bears secondary. Just about everyone is hurt. Eddie Jackson not practicing. Jalen Johnson has not been practicing. Josh Blackwell not been practicing this week. It looks like it's going to be all backups, and the Broncos have been moving the football. I like the over. I feel like nobody's talking about the over. Too. These are clearly the 2 worst defenses in football. Justin Fields has to be able to do something.